Oh, it's moving! It's going to
Yeah, these Chainsaw Man fights just kept getting weirder and weirder. Yeah, okay, I think it's just time to go talk about Aki now. When we think of Aki, we think of the word revenge. What does the word revenge even mean? Well, it's the action of inflicting hurt or harm on someone from an injury or wrong suffered at their hands. And I think when we take a moment to look at the actual backstory and the story of Aki, I think we can see that fits pretty well. You see, unlike Denji, who lost everything, had a sad beginning, but he was able to turn it around. From living in the slums and straight up poverty, losing all of everything, and being a slave working devil hunter for his Yakuza family, whatever. Denji did not have any hope, but he got all the hope when he joined into the Devil Hunter squad and became a pet to Makima. But Aki's a little different. You see, Aki lost everything at an early age. He could have gone in a different direction. He could have chose happiness. He could have chose anything but the blind pursuit of revenge. Now, to Denji, Aki was viewed as the big brother, the caretaker of Denji in power, the person responsible for making them useful and taking care of them in between missions for whenever Makima needed them out in the field. Aki lost everything at a young age, and he was determined to always get revenge for it. See, he never got a second chance to get the attention of his parents. At a young age, as a young boy, all he wanted was the attention of his mom and his dad. But all of that would be lost in a moment, in a split second under the Gun Devil's attack. And in that moment, everything for Aki changed. Aki would be left with two choices. Take the path of a happy lifestyle, a fulfilled life, maybe take on a family, a wife, and kids, or the pursuit of revenge. Blind ambition and going solely after the thing that took everything away from him. You see, Aki lost everything in that moment, and he couldn't see clearly. He couldn't see the other choices that maybe could come out of that. So, in his path, he chose to become a devil hunter to seek revenge for all that he had lost. Putting him under the squad of Makima, and put him under far worse conditions. You see, Aki was willing to give up everything in the pursuit of his goal to take down the Gun Devil. He would end up making several contracts with devils that had no benefit to him. He would be so blinded by his pursuit for revenge, he wouldn't see what he was losing in the process. But his blind determination and his focus to only go after the Gun Devil made him blind to those that would use him for their own ambitions, even if it cost him his life. If Aki would have observed for a single second and not be so intent on his blind ambition, on his mission, he would have seen he was being used and would have seen how he was being controlled by someone with no regard for him, his life, and someone who just viewed him as a puppet, a pet in a grand scheme of their own, which made him an unsuspecting pet and servant of Makima. For what he was chasing and trying to take down ended up being his own downfall, where he would sadly become a pawn and a puppet to Makima's own schemes and end up becoming the Gun Fiend. Now, Chainsaw Man, fiends are empty corpses inhabited by the very devil. They don't need to make a contract with this person when they're alive. This is an empty corpse that they can now inhabit and use them for their own will. Now, in this moment, when he became the Gun Fiend, his whole mission then got turned against him. See, this family that he had now had, that he was so blind to even see, those people he was taking care of, those people he cared most about, he had now come after them and was going to cause them more pain and suffering. See, in this moment, Aki would lose everything all again, but he was too blind to see what he was losing, because he had given up everything for a blind pursuit. Because in this moment, maybe if Aki had chosen a happier life, he wouldn't have caused more pain and suffering to others. Because of his blind pursuit, he cost other people a lot in return. And in this moment, Denji again would lose a parental figure, someone close that he looked up to. Now, when we look at Aki in the grand scheme of the story, Aki fits the tragic hero archetype. And the tragic hero archetype is a hero who possesses a fatal flaw and makes a fatal error in judgment that ultimately leads to their downfall. Aki was wounded by a traumatic event by losing his family, causing him only to pursue revenge instead of enjoying the life he still had. Aki made one terrible decision after terrible decision, leading to his downfall at the hands of the person he cared most about, Makima. She ended up using him for her own scheme, for her own games, without regards to him. He was simply a puppet in her eyes. But in the end, Aki taught Denji a very important lesson. See, Aki taught Denji to become your own person, not controlled by outside forces, to not be controlled by blind ambition. Aki's downfall made and helped Denji realize on how he needed to become a free man and how he needed to be free of all those other things. Aki's blind pursuit would cause him to take on several contracts with other devils that would ultimately take away from him, because he was so determined to do anything he could to take down the gun devil and serve under Makima, who had promised him to help him take down the gun devil, that he was willing to give up arms, legs, eyes, and whatever. And this can be seen clearly with his contract with the future devil, who made it very clear that he was in for a terrible fate. See, Aki was willing to do anything to pursue a blind ambition, which has always made me wonder, in his blind pursuit, when the future devil asked him about his terrible death and how it was going to happen, instead of saying, "I don't care," because all he could think about was his mission, what if he had taken a moment to actually ask the future devil how his death would have occurred? Now, maybe he could have changed the events. Maybe he could have changed the results. Who knows? We're not the writers. We're not Fujimoto. But his blind pursuit and his absolute focused idea that he was going to do this no matter what, he was going to win in the end, ended up being his hubris, his Achilles heel, taking him down. But maybe if he took one moment to see that in the end he would become a very pawn to the gun devil and the very thing he despised, the thing that took away his family, maybe in that moment he would have been like, "Yeah, guys, I'm checking out. This is done. I'm going to go pursue something else. Yeah, everything's a lie." Maybe at this point, everything in the story would have been turned around, because they would have seen that Makima wasn't who she claimed she was. He wasn't serving the thing he said he was going to go after. And he would have seen that worse things were coming about. But in the end, Aki ended up being a slave to his own blind ambition and only pursuing the very thing that would take him down. And that was his fate from the beginning. No matter what he was going to do, he was always going to end up in that position, because he didn't actually care about other people around him. He only cared about serving his own revenge. And in this story, I think we could look at another character archetype that served best this would be Robin from Batman and Robin, however you say it. Robin was another character who was pursuing the revenge of the death of his parents. But he had a mentor over him compared to Aki, who only had Makima, who wanted him to do what he was doing. Batman, knowing that the pursuit of revenge leads to more nothing, it doesn't fulfill you, it doesn't solve any issues. Robin then had a mentor that guide him through the process and see that it wouldn't take him anywhere. But Aki didn't have that benefit. He didn't have someone guiding him and showing him the right way. As we can see, Makima wasn't who she claimed to be and was more than willing to put people in harm's way for her goal. Without spoiling it, it ended up being very, very bad. So maybe if Aki had someone that was pushing him in the right direction and showing him that, hey, there was a better way to go about things, there's a different path, maybe he would have chosen differently. But we'll never know, because he never had that person. But unfortunately, he was able to show the errors of his ways and the bad decisions he was making to Denji, a person underneath him, who ended up deciding differently from him and chose a different path. See, Denji had a way different situation going on where he saw everyone doing selfish things, and he didn't want to be part of that. Hey, you know what? Speaking of broken characters and chainsaw-wielding demon hunters, have you heard of Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter? Yeah, you heard that right. It's Winnie the Pooh fighting demons with a chainsaw. So if you like over-the-top crazy action, I've got a book called Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter. You can read the first volume. It's over 80 pages on my website. Or you can go and check out the sign-up campaign for the new volume, number 2, that's coming out in February. It's going to be adding on to the mythos of Winnie the Pooh as him and Christopher St. Robin fight demons in the 100-acre woods. Well, hey, I just want to thank you for coming by and checking out the video and watching. And if you subscribe, comment, like, whatever you do, just thank you so much. And hey, while you have the chance, please check out the other videos here. I'm sure you'll find something fun to watch. All right. Check you out another time. Bye.